Hey, how's it going, folks? Cleveland, the Browns, that team that some pick, maybe you watching right now, to go through the playoffs and to the Super Bowl, is having a problem. Cleveland is a streaky team. Most notably, their performance on Monday Night Football leaves a lot of questions. Welcome to Zenny62, by the way. Now, you would say, what's going on with this team? Is this the same Cleveland Browns team, the same squad that blew the Baltimore Ravens out of the stadium? And the answer would be, with the exception of an injury here or two, yes, it is. This team that controlled the Baltimore Ravens' vaunted running game is the same team that basically, as Rob Iman just put it, fell to the 49ers coming out party. Now, I never felt that they really left, just sort of a hiccup. It's also too early. And I say that because, and I was saying this to my mother earlier, I remember when the 1977 Dallas Cowboys drafted Tony Dorsett after trade with the Seattle Seahawks, and they rounded off 8 straight wins. And that became for me the mark by which that 8 straight wins, by which you judged how far a team was going to go. Take a look at the Rams last year, and even actually the year before that, and the number of wins they started rattling off. I have a rule. Or the Falcons under Dan Quinn, when he first coached them, his first year, they went 5 straight wins. Everyone was raving about them, okay? And then the wheels fell off. The 49ers have won 4 straight. So I'm not ready to say that these 49ers are back. I'm not ready to say that they left. I'm in wait and see mode because this is a long season and anything can happen. Anything can happen. But the clue, the question is, how do you know that they are good? Is if they can rattle off 8 straight victories. Okay? That's how you know. Or even 7 straight. But the mark is 8. If they rattle off 8 straight victories, they're sailing. Okay? Now, back to the Browns. What the heck is going on with this team that was shellacked 3-31 for the Niners on Monday Night Football? And as I look at it, and as I think about the Cleveland Browns that I've seen, I think for the most part, they bought into their own Baker Mayfield-led hype. And yeah, I am blaming Baker for some of this because it's his will to win, his infectious desire, his I don't care what I say or how you think about what I say personality, all of that hypnotized the press. And in an era where there have been more starting black quarterbacks than ever, yet you have a by far mostly white press. You realize that not much has changed in the media since the Kerner Commission report way back in, I think it was 1968, regarding the small number of blacks in the media. Do you realize that little has changed since then today, according to another study that was done last year? Just a digression, all right? And I say that to say this. There is this sort of great white hope mentality that has come into the story of the Cleveland Browns, whereas, hey, we're going to crown them, we're going to make them America's team. Where did that come from? The Dallas Cowboys were America's team. And so the underlying message was, hey, if Cleveland Browns are America's team. Is it that you're saying that the Dallas Cowboys aren't America's team because they have a black quarterback? Whereas, win or lose, the Cowboys were always America's team when they had a white quarterback? It's a question, okay? But that detail aside for the moment, the Cleveland Browns are coined by a number of people as America's team. I thought, what did I go to sleep and wake up? What happened? But it gives you just this another example of the amazing number of annoying monikers that were applied to these guys. And people accepted, and others got tired of it. And that's why we cheered so loudly when Nick Bosa was able to get to Baker Mayfield, sack him. Did he got credit for that sack? Yeah. And then do that flag dance. You know, the bury the flag dance, right? Getting back at Mayfield for the 2017 upset win his Oklahoma Sooners had over Ohio State. And he does the flag dance and plants the flag on their field. Wow. Remember that? Nick Bosa never forgot it. So all of that has caused people to pay an inordinate amount of attention to a Browns organization and team that didn't deserve it. Because if you study the Browns, they have a very simple offense. They have an approach that is not so varied that they have that Swiss Army knife, okay? That Swiss Army knife where they can say, okay, we can apply this play for this situation or that play for that situation, and yet it's still part of our overall approach. So for me, Rob Ivan says he thinks Kitchens is in over his head. I think that the Browns are very game plan sensitive. So you want to understand how to think about the Cleveland Browns, and I'll talk about the Raiders. The Browns are game plan sensitive. If you don't have the right game plan for the right opponent, for the Browns, both offense and defense, you lose. Now, the Browns are heavily susceptible to teams that have quick strike, zone blocking, or trap blocking, right? Offensive attacks on the run, okay? And if you want to beat the Browns, the best defense to use is really a classic 4-3 over or 4-3 under defense. I wouldn't play an even 4-3. I would play an over and under to have the nose tackle able to assign the nose tackle to either hole on either side, not two gap, because that plays in the Browns' hands. Okay? That's how you would stop them. But the 49ers ran a nice clinic. The 49ers had the right matchups. They have big, fast, 6'7" tall for the most part defensive linemen. They can dominate your line, or if you run away from them, they can catch you. Very effective, very impressive. So shifting gears now, we'll talk about the Raiders, and a lot of you want to talk about another new exciting wide receiver acquisition, who happens to have a cool name. His name is Zay Jones, or Isaiah Zay Jones. He is described as an American football wide receiver for the Oakland Raiders. They've already cleaned up his Wikipedia listing, apparently. He played college football at East Carolina. He is the all-time NCAA Division I career receptions leader with 399, as well as the all-time NCAA Division I single-season receptions leader with 158. He's 24 years old, born March 30th, 1995. He's 6'1" and 220, as many of you have noted. And so, very exciting, very exciting. Let's see what Pro Football Reference says about this man who was brought to the Raiders from the Buffalo Bills. My question is how will the Raiders employ him? Okay, that's the question. How and all right, and who is he replacing? Okay, so right now we've got actually, if you think about what the Raiders have done, let's take a look at the transactions, the NFL page. They have been on a kind of a search to make up for the debacle that was Antonio Brown. Have you noticed that? They brought in a number of wide receivers to provide that combination of speed, size and speed and power that Antonio Brown was expected to add to the roster when they made the deal for him earlier this year. Of course, as we famously know, that didn't pan out. So this with Zay Jones, Zay Jones is a latest example of the Raiders trying to find that right mix. Now, I don't say that critically. I say that, what's the right term to use? Affectionately. And the reason why I put it that way is because it's quite obvious that the Raiders are using, what the Raiders are doing is they're consistently improving in terms of personnel addition and subtraction. And that's something that's exciting. All right. It means that the team is always in a state of flux. It's never quite perfect, but you know that it's taking steps to get there, however they view perfection, right? But also, the practical matter of having one receiver to replace an injury that may be come to another. The Raiders waived Lester Colton, Alabama guard, and let's see what other that's the only transaction. Oh, no. Let me slow down here. And that is, I'm going through the transactions report from the National Football League right now. That's on the media site, just to see. Okay, they also added Nevin Lawson, as you may know from the Exhibit Commissioner's permission. He counts on the active list as well. And so there was also a gigantic list of deactivations that I'm looking through here as I speak with you. And let me take you through what I'm looking at so you're not... Okay, this is it, all right? So I want you to see this real quick before I end this program, because this is news there, okay? So as you can see, these are all of the Raiders, for the most part, draft picks and free agents, okay? There. So, yeah. So the Raiders are always in a constant state of flux, as are many NFL teams, but the Raiders have been particularly busy this year, and I think under Mike Mayock, more so than in the past. It would seem. I haven't done an actual analysis to confirm that, right? But just anecdotally, it seems like the Raiders have added more players and subtracted more players on a weekly basis than ever before. So you're asking me what I think of Zay Jones. Well, look, let's see what they do with him offensively. And then we can get an evaluation as to whether or not it was the right decision to make. I am, as you know, an X's and O's person. I'm not really so much personnel. Something else, too. A lot of people tend to get excited about what others will call this shiny object, right? Oh, this person's new. Well, again, I want to see how the Raiders are going to employ Zay Jones before I can make a proper evaluation. Now, the question you may be asking me is, how should the Raiders use Zay Jones? And I'm going to have an answer for you on that tomorrow. Subscribe to Zenny62, folks. It's late. I'll see you. And I'll be back at the normal time next time.